Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Minors Division here at the Owlet Tournament. I am Shadow24, going to be bringing you that play-by-play action tonight. And, of course, for that analysis and that color, joining me will be Bort. And we've got SilentMarine behind the curtain doing production tonight. Bort, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm excited to be back in the caster's booth, getting into the minors action. This is my first time.
First time this season? Gotta dust the rust off the old pipes then.
Exactly.
Alrighty, well, we do have Otter, Oxide, and Quantum Charge facing off today. And I've gotten the chance to see Quantum Charge play. I have not seen Otter Oxide play before. But is there anything special that you're looking forward to?
Well, with these two teams, these are two of our teams that entered as pre-mades. So they have history with each other going back before season 2 of the tournament. So one thing I'm looking for is to just kind of see that synergy that maybe those draft teams don't have yet. I know Otter Oxide they lost their last game and then they won by forfeit the game prior. So I'm really curious to kind of see how they do now that they're settled in and that they can finally start getting some games under their belt.
Very nice. So they're going up against a mighty opponent, Quantum Charge. I do believe is undefeated at the moment.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of seeing Ice-T drink on the Reinhardt. It's a wonderful show. Excuse me. Nano Rocket also doing a great job on that Diva and Zarya. A lot of Zarya when they play their goats. They play a lot of goats because it works. You know, it's goat season, so why not?
Exactly. When isn't it goat season?
But we will be starting off on Lijiang Tower. And I do believe that both teams are ready to go, making sure that SilentMarine is also prepared and good to go. And I think we're going to be getting into the action pretty soon here. But since we're playing Lijiang Tower, that's a composition where on the station, you know, of course it's going to be goats. But you can get a little bit of extra stuff if you go to Night Market or the tower. You think we'll see any Pharahs?
I hope so. I think it's fun watching Pharahs play because it just adds another element. You know, it's not a ground-based opponent, so it just adds another layer of difficulty and planning that you have to work on. And it's always fun. It's always fun to watch the boops too.
Oh, the boops galore. I expect we're going to be seeing Lucios on both sides. Goats or not. This is a map that Lucios have caused me to, I'll say it, alt F4 the game once or twice. You know, if you're just too good at the boops, I'm a tank player, so.
Yep, I feel your pain. I've learned as a Diva player to save my boosters when I'm getting. So it looks like our first map is going to be Night Market here, and this is one of those maps that I think Pharahs will be present in, or at least have the ability to be present in.
Yeah, they definitely will be president. They will be present. Bird going to be donning that Pharah. Xavier, they're going to be in the Mercy for that pocket. You will see a ghost composition, like I said, from Quantum Charge. They're not looking to switch very much up, so they're not going to have a lot of verticality against this pharmacy composition.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be relying on their Diva player Wowza to kind of limit what Bird can do in the sky. So hopefully they know that that's their responsibility and able to take.
Alright, so it looks like we're going to see Quantum Charge taking the middle entrance out of that far side, pushing into the point. And you will have Otter Oxide with a good defensive position trying to get against that Ghost, but Ice-T Drink going to open things up with that first kill on the Ninja. They're trying to res it up. They lose Xavier and Volables in the process, so it's not going to be a really good outcome for Otter Oxide. It does look like Quantum Charge is going to take charge here as they kill off the Ninja, or Pie Ninja, and that'll be it for them. First take goes to Quantum Charge.
Yeah, I think that first early pick was super important to sort of snowballing that point. I think the Mercy res also probably could have been done in a more protected pocket, and I think that just allowed Quantum Charge to take the points too.
And now you can get a really sticky situation where you get this defense right at that spawn door, small choke, big team. It's kind of hard to get through with that Reinhardt swinging away, that Brigitte there to heal.
Yeah, this is one of those chokes that's really hard to push through. But it can always, it can work the other way around for Otter Oxide. Maybe the Quantum Charge gets a little greedy, pushes a little too far, and could pay.
Ooh, and there goes the hammer down coming out from Nano Rocket. He just wants to make sure the fight ends when he says that it ends. And that's going to be it right there. Fam's going to be the last casualty of war. 45% built up for Quantum Charge in this fight, and they still have 5 ultimates on board.
Yeah, it looks like the ult economies are going to be pretty even going into this. So I think ult discipline is going to dictate who wins this next.
Bird's been looking for a chance to use this barrage for quite some time. Does not have the Graviton just yet to pair up with it. So trying to stay alive, but the Discords coming out from Evandel keep Bird pretty much grounded throughout most of these fights. Right now, Otter Oxide. There goes the Deadeye and the Air Shatter. There's Transcendence to follow it all, but the burst damage still gets through. The Sound Barrier going to help everything out right there, helping with Famzu's Deadeye, but there's the barrage, taking Evandel out. There's no Transcendence left. But it's not going to be enough. Able to open the door, though. So Rudolph's Sound Barrier going to allow the team Otter Oxide to get in on the point. Bird doing a great job of hitting the direct rockets onto Scoopy on that Forget to take her out of the fight. Wowzer coming in with a quick contest, but not too much. She gets desuited and knocked off of the map. And Otter Oxide finally getting themselves a little bit of position.
You got to be happy that you took the point, but now you're in a position where you only have 1 ultimate coming off of, your bank that was 6. So it'll be interesting to me to see how they play around this 1 Graviton. Maybe Shatter before the engagement really starts.
Oh, which Graviton are you looking for, though? Because there comes the Graviton from Quantum Charge using only 3 ults, or 2 ultimates there to win that fight. Otter Oxide having a bit of a difficult time here on the defense. Xavier X, the Lone Mercy on the point, trying to Guardian Angel out. There's just too much space.
Yeah.
Too many enemies in between her and Satan.
One thing you have to ask yourself is when Otter Oxide took the point, they both support ultimates going at the same time, and that Sound Barrier would have been a really big help in that grab.
There's that late barrage from Bird, just, a couple of consolation kills, making himself feel a little bit better. The Pharah didn't have as much of an impact as we thought it would on that Goat's composition. Wasn't really able to hit the rockets.
I think what's happening is we're seeing, a big frontline presence from Quantum Charge that's kind of collapsing the rest of Otter Oxide and not giving the Pharah enough sort of time and to find those opportunities to get the. So if they can kind of work to keep their tanks up and make the fights longer in their favor, I think then that they find those opportunities for Pharah to hopefully get a quick pick on the Zenyatta, but it just didn't work.
Nope, and now off the back of that, they're going to change things up to not necessarily Snows. They will go with the 2-2-2. They're going to be bringing out that Ice Queen Mei onto the field.
This is a really interesting comp for me to watch. I don't think I've ever observed a comp just like this, so I'll be curious to see how this works out.
They got off to a good start in the beginning, getting Pie Ninja out of the mech and kind of out of the fight completely. Now it's going to be really important for Bird to focus in on that Reinhardt, on that Brigitte. Freeze through the shields. There it is. Oh, the stun lock from a frozen position into a slept position for Nano Rock. He's going to be able to stay alive with some beautiful healing from Evandel and Tiskahar. Bird in a little bit of trouble.
That's a big ante there. Hopefully they can do something with it.
I see Drink's gonna go ahead and take your advice, take Famsu out of the fight so there's no more pesky hamster rolling around. Brig getting almost frozen, but beautiful boot from Scoopy to get Bird out of the fight and into a safe area, trying to take out that Mei. Finally accomplishes the mission. And Famsu coming in a little bit of a iffy position. Otter Oxide not able to break in with this hamster.
See, what I'm thinking here is I don't know if we have enough kill potential on the side of Otter Oxide. I mean, they have a lot of crowd control, a lot of beef, but do you think they're doing enough damage or have that damage potential to really make a dent?
And it's really, really difficult, especially when you have that radiant healing from Lucio and Brig, which you're going up against. You don't have a lot of burst damage. Here we go, Famsu looking for his opportunity for that denial with those missiles, but he's not going to grab anything because Wowza's going to go ahead and blow up the place, taking him out of the fight after a beautiful transcendence from Evandel to delay the rest of it. We're only 50% through this match.
Yeah, the Quantum Charge has had some really nice responses to the pushes Otter has been putting forward. Seem to be disciplined with their ultimates too, so they're looking at a bank of three versus two here, so they are in control, at least for this next engagement.
Yeah, 3 really strong ultimates too. That Earth Shatter and Graviton both being able to stop full teams.
Right, and having a support ultimate up, like Rally is huge, because that armor is tough to get through, right?
And there you see it, the Graviton does come out. Ooh, and a self-destruct, but self-destruct's not going to do anything. Nanorocket able to get to the back of the fight there to protect the rest of the team. Bullabolt's about to fall down to Ice-T Drink, and Quantum Charge being completely disrespectful as a frozen Zarya gets tossed off the edge of the map.
You're making this easy for me.
Yeah, I think it's been too much. They just don't have the damage to break through this Goat's comp right now.
Quantum Charge has proven to be a very competent Goats team in their past matches, so I'm no surprise to see them continuing that legacy here.
No, and like you said in the beginning of the show, I haven't gotten a chance to see Quantum Charge before tonight, and as you said, their tank line's really they've been able to control and dictate the fights, time after time. Each engagement's on Quantum Charge's terms.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes those control point maps, especially with Ghost, those control point maps can be kind of difficult to break yourself into against a team. So maybe a change of scenery is what Otter Oxide needs.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe it's just that control maps aren't Otter's strong suit. Maybe we'll see something, a little bit different going onto a payload map and going onto an assault map. Hopefully they're able to turn it around, because right now it is sort of looking one-sided with Quantum Charge.
It's a similar outlook to what it was looking like last week. Quantum Charge was pretty dominant in their match. They are definitely an aggressive team. So Otter Oxide needs to find some way to rubber band that, or catch that aggression and.
Yeah, the best way to beat aggression is to match aggression. Back when I was coaching, that's something I always told my team, was that tempered aggression, is really what wins the game. Because if you're playing too passively against an aggressive team, especially an organized aggressive team, you're going to lose every.
Yep, keep looking for that encounter, but that encounter will never show up because.
Yeah, it's all about taking calculated risks, and Otter Oxide just didn't get the chances, I think, to take those calculated risks, just because Quantum Charge was so oppressive in their holds on choke. And Lijiang's got a lot of chokes. At least on those two maps they played, they have very tight and strict chokes.
Very true. They never really got to play on the open map, that tower.
Right. And maybe it would have been different had we gotten to see the name of the map is escaping me.
I'm trying to hit it. All I can think is Night Market. It's in my brain. That's how it's gonna. I've always referred to it as the tower.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is the top of the.
Exactly. But tower. Maybe if we see more space, maybe Otter Oxide will be able to take advantage of it instead of being in tight corridors.
Yeah. However, we are going to be going to Junkertown, so we are going to a map where the snowball effect has become oh so prevalent.
Right, and this is another, at least on the first point, it's another open space that we can see, hopefully, something develop for Otter Oxide. I don't know if Pharaoh will be the pick here just because there's not much cover, but maybe, something where Goats won't be as strong.
Yeah, we might see a presidential composition come out somewhere. Maybe a little Bastion, maybe a little Orisa.
It's always exciting to see those comps, especially in, I guess, a lower SR bracket, just because I think Bastion becomes much more oppressive and much more hard to counter. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens if you do see the surprise Bastion and how they'll react to it.
A lot of teams have trouble with kind of getting a foothold after you get broken by that Bastion.
And it'll be interesting to see if they, a Bastion is run. Obviously, this is all conjecture. If a Bastion is run, it's always interesting to me to see how long a team will continue with the Bastion after getting knocked off cart. That's something that I always find, interesting to see how long they'll push it, how long they'll try to keep resetting up, and how much time that burns. Looks like we're getting ready to launch into Junkertown here.
And Junkertown probably very early on was one of my favorite maps, but the more and more that I play it, it's become a map that challenges me more than anything else. I still have yet to figure out the best way to position myself as a Reinhardt on this first defensive turn.
Right. I was just about to say the same thing. This first point is the bane of my existence. I actually like the second and third points of this map, but this first point's very open. It's very hard to sort of keep the action in front of you if your enemy keeps rotating, just because it's so wide open and there's so much space.
Yeah, that third point it's a lot of fun to attack because it's so easy to get behind the enemy as you begin to.
It can be very creative, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Seeing a lot of big shatters, a lot of big bombs on that third point.
Yeah, it's a really good flank route, and at least on the defensive point, there are only so many paths that they can take on third point. But on first point, there's just so many options for the attackers to sort of wiggle around. It's looking like we're gonna have these comps look pretty interesting to me. Gonna get to see a Roadhog. I'm a big Roadhog fan, so anytime a Roadhog goes off, I know last season with MSXL, Isaac on the Roadhog was always a blast to watch.
Yep, not only that, but we're also gonna get the Widow v Widow competition.
That's always a fun competition. This is an aggressive hold. I don't know how. Hopefully they know what they're doing here, because this has the potential to be rough for Otter.
Oh, beautiful trap placement right there to catch Ice-T Drink as he tried to charge out of spawn to get himself back in the fight. And you're right, this is a super aggressive hold. They lost their main tank. They do not have their Reinhardt with them. Bowl of Bulls is coming back from spawn right now.
Oh, and they're getting some distance on the cart.
The cart is beginning to move, but they're still losing team members over there. Max recently died from that member of Cal, but Ice-T Drink back in the fight, giving a lot of hassle to the Bowl. It's going to be pretty difficult. Not many healers there. There goes that tire from Famzoot. The nano on the Bowl of both. He gets answered at the exact same time. The tire will take Max out of the fight. And right now, Otter Oxide doing a pretty good charge of keeping the defense up. Quantum Charge not showing that assertiveness that we saw on the previous map.
Right. And I think that hold took them by surprise. I think that kind of set the tempo in Otter Oxide's favor.
Oh, and right as you think the tables are going to turn, the beautiful Sleep Dart coming out from a Disappoint to take Ice-T Drink in his nanoed state and put him on the ground. Bowl of Bowls will sacrifice himself to take that nano boosted Reinhardt out of the fight. So we're going to be able to see if they're going to be able to even it up. A Disappoint also going to fall. Now they're down. It's a 4v6 on the point. And they still have that Widowmaker, so it's more like a 4v3 on the point.
Yeah, it's, looking at what's going on, both teams are pretty scattered. It seems like there are a bunch of isolated duels happening. I don't think we've had an actual team.
No, not really. It's been a lot of little fights here and
Exactly, yeah, a lot of little skirmishes. So I think that we're about to see our first actual team fight once Otter Oxide gets together.
A beautiful Sleep Dart coming out from a Disappoint, following up with a few shots to take out that Widowmaker at long range. But Ice-T, he's got that Shatter in his pocket, looking for an opportunity to use it. Bird gonna take Tiscahar and Ice-T Drink out of the fight, so that's not gonna be available. They do still have the Graviton from Phantom Tissue. See if they're gonna be able to pop that out into this fight. Bird and Kyle both grabbing a couple more kills, but they're gonna keep those ults because they've got time, and they've got patience. They're gonna make sure they don't use too much.
Right. Quantum Charge coming in with a really strong ult economy. I think they should be able to get Nano fairly quickly if they play it right. So they could get a Nano Blade or even Nano the Rhine. They've got a lot to work with. They have a lot.
Bird's really the only one with an ultimate on Otter Oxide except for Rudolph with that Transcendence, which know,
That's gonna be
expect
key.
We're saving that with the Dragon Blade.
Oh, might be too little too late though.
Oh no, he's able to get in. A lot of the team members have fallen. But Bird able to help out with a little bit of cleanup on the back end, taking 2 out, but there goes the Widowmaker popping up, getting up close and personal. Scoopy's gonna take the L there against Bulls on the Orisa, getting back there into the fight. Now it's just along Zinyan. So Otter Oxide, they really have been able to
Doing
dig
very
their
well
heels in
here. And I think a lot of that is to do with Bird. He's really been able to control and get the picks that they need to give them the 5v or the 6v5 that they want in 6v4. He's been a big equalizer for Otter Oxide.
Not only that, but he's also been getting beautiful shots early in the team fight, like that just completely stopped the fights from happening in the first place. You can see Quantum Charge waiting to do this as late as possible. Oh, that was a beautiful
hook.
stun. Able to hook him in the animation for the hammer down, so there will be no Earth Shatter. There is a nano blade, a nano boosted Kaio with that whole hog. Gonna go ahead and grab himself a triple there. Just as Baby Diva and a Zenyatta on point.
Oh, now it's all Bird.
So now it's all Bird. He is gonna have to drop and look for the point. He's got no support. Everybody coming back from spawn. Spawn advantage is definitely for Quantum Charge.
I just want to give a shout out to all the tanks this game. I think we've been seeing a really good tank play on both sides.
You definitely have, and beautiful job with Icy Drink to switch onto the Winston to make sure he gets back to this fight in time. Kaio doing the same thing, switching onto that Hammond. Sound Barrier, or no, not Sound Barrier, I'm sorry, but Bowl of Bowls. Doing what he can to take care of this Winston. Not able to land the shots as he wishes, but he does have the healing. No, Rudolph and Bowl of Bowls are going to get gone there. Fanzu with that tire, gonna grab 3. That's huge. Zarya and Zenyatta still alive. Evandel and Phantom Tissue fighting Kaio on that Hammond. Bird very close range on this Widowmaker as Max gets back into the fight. That free is gonna open up the door to point 2, and it was a hard fought point.
You know, you got to be happy with that if you're Otter Oxide. You know, you put their backs up against the wall. You got them to overtime. Maybe you did want to hold them before they got to the checkpoint, but you didn't. They've done a great job so far, so hopefully they're able to continue that success, and good for Quantum Charge to be able to capitalize on overtime.
Only 2 minutes, however, so Quantum Charge, they don't get any time to relax, look at their team comp, maybe switch anything up. They gotta dive straight into this next point so they can make up some time if they're lost.
They're getting some good distance on the card. I wonder when Otter Oxide is gonna push the contest. There we go.
Well, speaking of the devil, Kaio flying down for just a little bit of a baby touch there. I expect to see Bowl of Bowls drop down the second that they cross over this bridge. No, nobody's popping down. There goes the nano boost on the Bowl of Bowls.
This is a little concerning at this point.
Maybe giving them a little bit too much free here, because Evandel does have that Transcendence, so nobody's going to be dying in this fight right now except for Otter Oxide members.
This is fantastic for Quantum Charge. They just rolled it right through the second checkpoint here.
Yeah, they only got maybe a couple of seconds shaved off of that push, so they'll have almost 3 minutes to push through the final area here, and Phantom Tissue has a lot of charge and a lot of anger trying to get that out of the way. Bird and Fancy both gonna fall.
And looking at the ult economies again, it looks like Quantum Charge is gonna really, they have the extreme upper hand. They're gonna have 5 ultimates online versus 2. So this is their checkpoint to lose here. If they want to go all in, they have that option.
Yeah, Disappoint's gonna open it up pretty quickly by taking that iced tea drink. So they're not gonna have that shatter on board. And like you said, it really is Quantum Charge's point to lose. They're gonna supercharge from Bowl of Bowls as well as the Transcendence. But that Transcendence is not gonna save you from the burst damage of a Diva Bomb. So Scoopy is still gonna be able to pick up a kill on the Famsu. And we're watching Quantum Charge their way through point C.
I think what Otter Oxide needs to do is they just need to get together and come out as 6. They still have a little bit of time, but if they just keep doing what they're doing, they're just going to keep getting picked.
Bowl of Bowls trying to get out there to do something. Puts down that shield with that Orisa. That stationary shield can be an issue when you're trying to stay alive. Bird floating just too low. Just too low. Just too high, sorry.
A fantastic run for Quantum Charge on those 2 points. That was the point was or the payload was nearly uncontested through both B and C.
Yeah, a little bit of a questionable move there with staying on that high ground for as long as they did. I definitely did expect to see the Orisa drop when the Diva touched.
Maybe just a miscommunication on Otter's side. Maybe, you know, losing point A like the way they did in overtime sort of set them back and they just weren't able to recover. You know, when you have them in overtime that far away and it seems so winnable, it's got to be so demoralizing to have them get that first check.
It can be, especially when you think you're going to win it, and then
Exactly.
there's just a Zenyatta and a baby Diva. You know, there's, you know, the mental game is prevalent in Overwatch.
Yeah, and then Quantum Charge just took full advantage. You know, they got the momentum of getting point A, and then they just rolled right.
Let's see what they're able to do here on attack. I'm not seeing a presidential composition. You know, it's not like I'm sad about it, but you know, I wanted to see it.
Yeah, it would have been fun, but you know, I guess they're playing to win more than our entertainment.
Why though?
Yeah, right. It's all about us here.
Man, me. Anyway.
But we are getting a Sombra, so maybe that can, you know, provide a little bit of excitement.
Hopefully it's not a disappointment. The disappointment's playing Ana.
So we're seeing another really aggressive hold here. Back-to-back aggressive holds on point A spawn.
And this is really Quantum Charge's claim to fame. You know, it's in their name, charge. That's what they're gonna do. If they have you in their sights, they're gonna charge. Like a I was gonna say Red Bull, but that gives you wings. Just a regular bull.
Yeah, and it didn't work quite as well as Otter Oxide's hold did at spawn. But I think that Quantum Charge did a nice job sort of recognizing that and regrouping and pulling back.
Yeah, but one of the downsides of that aggression is that you have to take the time to regroup. You have to take the time to pull back.
But I think recognizing, you know, the sunk cost of holding so close is a really, really strong sort of attribute that they.
Yep, because if you don't do that, you get rolled. That's how snowballs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, Otter Oxide, they're gonna have to back out of this fight. They've lost their main tank with Quantum Charge. They have that Lucio, so they're going to be a quicker team. They're able to just speed boost that Reinhardt in, let him swing his hammer around. They're getting more kills every single time. What do you think about the Reinhardt versus Orisa matchup right now?
You know, I think, especially with a team like Quantum Charge that's aggressive on the tank line, it might not be the best to run Orisa, because once that Rein gets, you know, in your face, it's a difficult matchup. But being able to keep the team at range, the Orisa would have the up. I just don't know if that's the pick with such an aggressive Reinhardt like Ice Drink or Ice Tea Drink.
Not to mention, Reinhardt's a pretty good counter to that Brigade, able to swing through that healing. There you go. There's the pick that they're looking for. They're looking for the kill and Icy Drink. Beautiful Transcendence comes out from Rudolph to keep his team alive, but Scoopy's still able to find a kill. They are on to Bowl of Bowls. Max is well into a disappoint. That Ana not going to be able to do any more healing within this fight as they just rack up the kills here. This Quantum Charge doesn't seem to want to give Otter Oxide an inch.
No, they don't. Then, you know, these have been really aggressive holds by Quantum Charge, and I think it's hard to match that aggression if you know, you haven't practiced.
It really can be, but Bird finally coming out onto that Brigade and looking to not necessarily match the. Oh no, they are. They're matching the composition. Except they're gonna switch up the Zenyatta for the Ana. Ana Goats versus Zen Goats, and Bird taking out Max, and Goats has lost his rig. There goes the Graviton just to keep everybody safe. Not a lot of follow-up damage to come in there. Beautiful nade from Disappoint. Even took Iced Tea Drink out of the fight. Phantom Tissue committing suicide, but Scoopy gonna grab two here. That's gonna open up a whole new world for Scoopy and the rest of Quantum Charge as they're looking to be able to come back into this fight to a broken team.
This is Otter's fight right now. If they play this right, they'll be able to hopefully get some more distance for themselves.
Beautiful self-destruct goes out. Iced Tea Drink trying to keep his team alive. But he's not going to be able to get his but boom! That shatter! He's going to grab all 5 of the remaining members. Transcendence coming out from Evandel to make sure that Quantum Charge can stay alive. Fancy takes Iced Tea Drink out. There goes your main tank in this 5v6 in favor of Otter Oxide. It is still their fight. Phantom Tissue getting low on health. He's going to get taken out by Bird. Now it's just Scoopy on the point. The healers are coming back to try and help out. It's just Max and Tiskahar. They've got to wait for the rest of the team.
So I think the swaps that Otter Oxide made all the difference in this fight. It just seems like as soon as they messed with the comp and made the right picks, they were able to sort of dictate the fight and take control. Another overtime push into point A.
Seems like we're getting a pattern here on Junkertown, but I do agree. Bullable switching onto that Reinhardt and Bird onto, on the Brigitte. Rudolph switched off onto the Lucio, so you gave your team a little bit more speed, and you got that swinging.
And you're able
power.
to match the kind of that melee range that Quantum Charge is playing.
Ooh, a little bit too aggressive. Bulls tries to get a big shatter, but he does only get Tiskahar, so they're gonna have to follow that up with the Graviton afterwards. Damage coming in pretty late here. They lose their main tank. Throw in the self-destruct to see if they can get anything. The shield is broken, so they will get Iced Tea Drink. No bubble for you. But Phantom Tissue will be able to keep Evandel alive with that Zarya bubble. Very high charge. Looking at the D-suit on Famzu. Kaio looking to get a little bit of charge off of it. And there you go. Taking out the counterpart Rudolph. Beautiful kill on the Phantom Tissue to open things up. A Disappoint pushing that payload with a Bulls and Bird as they try to get point 2 pretty much uncontested as well.
Yeah, we're seeing we're having deja vu here with this Otter Oxide.
This is that snowball that I was talking about that you see a lot on Junkertown.
Yep, and they did it without the president too.
Sad day. El Presidente not here to see this wonderful, wonderful push. And Famsu's just up there kind of bugging the rest of Quantum Charge while they try to regroup.
And that's a good job as the diva, because if the high ground's going to be uncontested, why not take it?
Speaking of uncontested, Iced Tea Drink taking Bulls out just in time and then just lays the shatter out on Otter Oxide. So a single ultimate was all that was needed to defuse that push.
And he's already a third of the way back for his next one too. They're going to have 6 ultimates for the next fight.
That is the trait. That is the sign of an aggressive Rhine. If you can shatter and then walk away with 50% of your shatter build back up afterwards.
And another really aggressive hold by Quantum Charge.
Concerning that they were going to the high ground, so decided to push up there and defend the high ground. Oh, there goes the Nano Boost onto Bulls trying to punish this aggression. There goes Max. Max doesn't get taken out as well as Scoopy, so now they're down 2. Otter Oxide up 2. They're going to have a bit of an advantage in this fight. Evandel being very aggressive on the Zenyatta. They know they've lost the fight. They're feeding just a little bit there. Iced Tea Drink also going to fall to Bulls, who didn't have a shatter before this fight. Has a shatter now.
Yeah, and Otter Oxide is going to have to get these picks quick because they're going up against 6 ultimates.
And they're being super aggressive right now. There goes the rally from Max to bring things out, but the Graviton keeping them there at spawn. Mind you, since Otter Oxide pushed, they haven't let Quantum Charge come out of spawn. Big hammer from Bulls out of that sound barrier to make sure that nobody gets to do anything. Tiskahar going to fall Phantom Tissue as well, and Otter Oxide now looking pretty good to push this through.
Yeah, they've been playing really great. This is kind of the aggression we were talking about coming out of Lijiang, is like they're matching the aggression that we saw from Quantum.
Oh man, Bulls just blocked the shatter coming out from Iced Tea Drink and the self-destruct from Scoopy in a single blow. He's looking to build up his shatter pretty big. He's at 80. A couple more swings and he'll have it again, but he's losing some health. Beautiful job there from Disappoint to keep him alive. Disappoint lands that nade onto Max, taking Brigitte out of the equation once again. Makes Ghost pretty weak, and Bulls has that shatter. Looking to grab another one. Grabs 2 right then and there. Looking to get Tiskahar. Takes him out of the fight with the help of Kaio. And Bulls in an overtime push for the first and third point will still get 3.
Yeah, and you want to know, ending with time on the clock is huge. Just because both teams are going to get a minute and then minute 18 or 2 minute 18. So hopefully, on Otter Oxide's attack, they'll be able to sort of, or at least they'll be planning on going as far as they can, because it's gonna be.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. We have seen Quantum Charge have these really aggressive defenses throughout everything, but both teams were pushed to overtime before capturing the first point.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, do you think we see another aggressive hold by Quantum Charge here at the spawn doors since there's only a minute? Or do you think they play a little bit more reserved and sort of pick their fights?
If I'm calling the shots, play a little bit more reserved. Because if somebody does pop out, for say, with that Bastion composition or with a very aggressive Junkrat, and you lose that main tank or you lose that main healer, then you give them a lot of almost free space.
Right, right.
And on the attacking position, especially on point A, you do not have spawn advantage.
No, especially with only a minute on the clock. As soon as you get to that second bridge, you know, things are going to get hairy for you once you start dropping. Or at least as the attackers, once you start losing, you know, once you start going down to the enemy, it's going to be tough to get back to.
But aggression is still the name of the game for Quantum Charge. They are going to hold no further than the very first bridge. Teams are mere compositions except for Evandel on the Zenyatta and a Disappoint on the Ana. So it's really up to the Reinhardts to see who can be more aggressive and which healers can heal the quickest.
I think Disappoint's been doing a fantastic job on the Ana. I think he's been getting timely antis, and that does counter, you know, the Zenyatta trance. So hopefully they'll be able to play.
Oh, and that's a big kill right there from Kyle. Iced Tea Drink, able to build up the Shatter in under 30 seconds here, but not able to use it. Kyle taking him out of the fight before he's able to even press Q, and it opens the door for Otter Oxide to roll through, and they're going to get at least half of this first point before the rest of the team is split.
Quantum Charge is really good about regrouping and going in as a team, so I think that's what we're seeing here. They're waiting for 6, they know they have time, they're going to get the touch, so it's super important to go in as 6, and that's what we're seeing them do.
It's up to Bolo Bowls and Iced Tea Drink. The Rhine battles begin. Both have Shatter, and both have to outplay the other, but there's the big Shatter coming in from Bowl of Fruit. Self-destruct right on the back, gonna find itself nothing, but that doesn't matter because Bowl of Fruit Bowls is just bowling through Quantum Charge here. Beautiful play from that Reinhardt to get them that point.
And this is what you want as Otter Oxide, since you are coming in with only a minute. Getting point A is really, really big, especially in overtime. So now this is all gravy, I feel like, for Otter Oxide.
Gravy on top of the cake. Nope, gravy on top of the turkey. I don't know many people that are putting gravy on the cake. But, you know, I'm from Texas. We do some weird stuff down here.
Right. The same people that...
Yeah, Icy Drink still has that Shatter, tries to put it out. It gets blocked by Bowl of Bowls there. As they pull out a big grab, which puts into a big Shatter. But Discahard gonna have that sound barrier to bring everything out. Max with that self-destruct, not gonna find anything. Great sound barrier to keep the team alive. Speaking of sound barriers, Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer, are going to be leading his team into the victory here as Kaio and Bird grab themselves a couple of kills. Graviton comes out from Phantom Tissue. No follow-up damage, however. So it's not really going to put too much of a dent in this push. Disappoint getting bullied right now by Zenyatta and Lucio from the opposing team. And Otter Oxide, they're showing aggression. They're showing assertiveness that we have not seen from them yet.
Yeah, and, you know, that's just how good, you know, team-oriented aggression can be, because when you work together as a team and you focus your targets and you're aggressive about it, you're gonna get the win every time.
Okay, well here we go. Max trying to get a last-minute contest. The Transcendence does come in, but it's a little bit late to save the mech. The rest of the team, however, does get kind of a free pass to go ahead and fight. Bolo Bulls loses track of his enemy, and there it goes. The self-destruct from Famsu going to take Scoopy out of the fight. Nano on to Bolo Bulls to get his Shatter back up and running as quickly as possible. He's going to get taken out. Oh, no, sorry. He's going to take Ice-T out of the fight with a beautiful Fire Strike right there. Iskahar jumping around the payload, trying to make sure it doesn't move any further, waiting for some respawns, waiting for some backup, but it's not going to come. He finally gets taken out by Kaio, and now we have a 5-3 as Otter Oxide takes point 2.
So let me ask you, if you're Quantum Charge, what do you do here? Because it seems like nothing you're doing is working, whereas, you know, earlier in the match, and especially on Lijiang, it seemed like you couldn't do anything wrong.
Well, the difference here, it's the Anagoats and the Zen Goats. The purple nades from a Disappoint are literally the game changer here.
I agree with that.
If I were Quantum Charge, I'd think about maybe going to a Moira or swapping up to that Anagoats competition.
So I feel like you have to do something, whether it's comp switches or maybe even like tactics changes. So you got to change up something.
Speaking and doing something, it looked like it was gonna go great. Block shatter, hit the sound barrier. There goes another. Not gonna land anywhere. He got booped into a wall, it looked like. But still, even on the back of that, Quantum Charge is up by 2, and that's a good thing in this fight because there's not a lot of healing going down. Nano Boost on the Bowl of Bowls to try and salvage something from this, but it's only 3 members of Otter Oxide on the payload. Nobody can leave. It's been overtime since point 1 or point A. So there's no way they can get anywhere off the point. If they're off the point for just a couple of seconds, they're going to lose the fight. And Bowl of Bowls is still charging ahead, finally getting taken out, but the rest of the team able to get back from spawn. Fansu does have the self-destruct, looking for a key moment to use it, trying to get Iced Tea Drink out of the fight before doing so. Remove the shield. And that bomb can do a lot of work, but that shatter!
Oh, huge anti there.
There we go, we see the Diva Bomb come in, but it's not going to find anything. Rallies from both sides to keep their teams alive throughout this brawl. Iced Tea Drink will get the D-Suit, and the Transcendence will get forced out of Evandel to keep a Quantum Charge alive in this overtime that seems like it's going to be going for days. Bowl of Bowls missing his charge, not able to find his mark, looking for the kill on to Scoopy. There's a sound barrier as well. Iced Tea Drink getting slapped there in the back of the fight. They've been able to misposition the Reinhardt pretty well, but still no movement on the payload. This is the 4th shatter we've seen. Still not going to find anything. Bowl of Bowls making it to 6, grabbing himself a couple there, but he may be the one to tip the scales as he finds a couple of kills. Looking for the kill on the Phantom Tissue. There's a good Harmony Orb on her, keeping her alive in that high charge state. Max on the Diva, pestering that Reinhardt, not letting him get comfortable putting up that shield. The self-destruct comes out for a little bit of a zoning effect, not going to find any kills. However, Evandel even putting himself in danger on the payload to make sure that it doesn't move. But finally, we see Otter Oxide come out on top of that fight.
Gotta give credit to both teams there. They were both able to prolong and survive while the fights just went back.
Whew. Not only that, but Otter Oxide able to come out of that fight with a substantial ult on him.
Yeah, and it seems like every player on both sides got their ultimate through that stall. So it's good for Otter Oxide that they've been able to regenerate into those seconds.
Oh no, beautiful move from Phantom Tissue, putting herself at the apex of the shatter, bubbling herself and saving her team, and now Iced Tea Drink and the rest of the Quantum Charge have the opportunity that they need. They're caught in a graviton, so they can't defend the payload. There goes the shatter from Iced Tea Drink. He does get disappointed onto the ground, but nobody's there to follow up on the kills right off the bat. But Scoopy swinging around that flail, trying to change the tides.
Wow.
And almost a full 3-point overtime push.
That was insane. I think we must have seen about 8 Earth Shatters on point C there between the two teams.
At least there were 6 in that one fight.
That was crazy. I mean, if I'm Otter Oxide, I'm ecstatic that we got that far in 1 minute. You know, if you're Quantum Charge, you know you have more than double the time. So hopefully for them, they can at least match that aggressive push right from the beginning.
And you know, aggression that's their thing. So if anybody's gonna come in here and be super aggressive and match what we just saw, it's going to be Quantum Charge.
And it's looking like we're gonna see a Reaper. I mean, I know things can change in a spawn room in a second, but oh, well, this is exactly what we've been hoping for.
Nothing to start a snowball like El Presidente. Oh, Max, no! You're killing me, Max.
He's going on my blacklist.
I do like the defense that we're seeing from Otter Oxide. It's aggressive and it's ambitious.
Well, they know exactly how much space they have to play with in terms of the entire map. So why not go for an aggressive hold here if you know you can regroup for point B?
Let's see how it goes. They're putting them right into the fight, right out of spawn. Rollerbolt's trying to leave Scoopy getting mighty low, and there it is once again. You see that Anane come out, and Brig useless, Lucio useless. And that's when you're seeing Otter Oxide win these team fights.
Yeah, Otter Oxide has really turned the corner on this map. They look like a completely different team.
I break you.
See if we'll see if the Anagoats are going to be able to. If Quantum Charge's Anagoats is going to be able to hold up. Oh nope, they're switching over to Zenyatta.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even against the anti-trance is still so valuable. So is the Discord. You can't even count that out.
That's very true. If you can really hunt down those purple orbs, it can do wonders for your team. Bowl of Bowls missing his charge there. It did get blocked by Iced Tea Drink earlier in the fight. Iced Tea Drink doing a beautiful job of also destroying Famzu's tire. So Iced Tea Drink there denying 2 ultimates. There's the charge from Bowl of Bowls. Does make contact with Tishbahar, taking Lucio out of the equation. There's the T suit as well. And now Otter Oxide, they are able to put themselves in a bit of an aggressive position. They've taken almost a minute and a half off of the clock.
Yeah, not bad at all. Now things are looking a little bit more even from the time bank perspective. We'll see, how Otter wants to approach this, because it looks like they are only going to get one more team fight out of this. This should be the last fight for.
Maybe not even that. Once again, super aggression coming out from Quantum Charge as they are defending at the spawn rooms.
Looks like we're going to get a sneaky shatter.
There it goes, but not able to find anybody. Have got blocked by Bird.
Oh, they still got it.
Nobody paying attention to the payload. Too busy defending themselves from the onslaught of damage. And that's not necessarily a C9, but it is not paying attention to the payload. Max, Ice Tea Drink, able to rack some stuff up here.
I mean, in that situation, I would think you would at least want to, contest. And I think that maybe Otter got a little too fancy trying to go for that long flank instead of just more of a traditional get to the point and stop it before the checkpoint.
And now's their chance, because they've got a lot of time. They pushed it very far, so they have a lot of time to draw out ultimates, maybe.
Otter really just needs to win one team fight to win this map. But as things went last round, that's easier said than done.
Definitely not when you're up against a rally, but they're gonna open things up. There's the Graviton. Famsu comes in, almost lets go of that self-destruct. Doesn't happen just yet. Bird does have the rally, waits for the right time to put it in. There it goes, self-destruct coming out from Max. Not gonna find any kills as Ice Tea Drink takes Bird out of the fight. Huge hammer from Ice Tea Drink to follow up on that, and right now, advantage is definitely for Quantum Charge as far as bodies go. Fans are trying to stay alive, but getting de-suited there, and this is a downhill fight.
Wow, I think we saw, what, 5, 6 ultimates in this one fight alone? That was crazy.
Yeah, they were able to draw out every single ultimate of Quantum. And you know what? That's exactly what we said they needed to do. They need to draw out some ults. They have a little bit of time, because now we're in such an extensive overtime.
And, as we mentioned before, at least Otter knows, where the goalposts are. So they know what they have to do in order.
There it is, and they're looking to wipe the team right now. The beautiful shatter from Bolo Bolos, followed up with that shatter, which gave a lot of charge to Phantom Tissue. But nobody's on the payload. They were able to boot off.
That was a fantastic map, I think. Unfortunate end for Quantum Charge, but the fact that both teams even got to point C in overtime, it makes it at least really exciting from my perspective, and really interesting to see how teams play in that environment.
And beautiful rally at the end from Bird. She waited until Quantum Charge overextended, and then they activated the rally, hit the speed boost, and threw Bola Bulls and Famsu into the mix with their ultimates, and that's what really opened it up at the end.
Yeah. A lot of I think at least for the matches I've seen in season 2, this has to be one of the map, or at least I guess one of the maps where I've seen the most ultimates used, at least in succession in fights. It's been crazy to see that.
I would really like to some point.
We'll have to go back and count. Yeah,
count how many ultimates were used on Junkertown.
That was insane.
I think we're like 30, 40 plus easy.
Yeah, some fights took up 10.
Yeah.
I think coming into this next fight, both teams might be a little tired. I feel like it's really draining to go 10 checkpoints since it was fun.
It really is. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of substitutions here, maybe. Get some fresh blood in the mix.
You're gonna need it. I think that could be the difference maker. Get someone off the the cyber bench into the match, and someone a little more fresh and ready to go could be the difference maker. But going back to the Junkertown match, I at least from my point of view, I was noticing a lot of really good plays from both tank lines, both support lines. I know we didn't see a lot of damage characters since there's a lot of goats, but really, I feel like everyone on both teams really did their job really well.
They really did, and I really think we've seen Otter Oxide kind of step up to the plate. Lijiang Tower, it looked like they were more like, we're gonna play our own thing. We don't want to play goats. We don't want to play goats.
Right.
It's getting kind of stale for a lot of teams, and so they tried to play their own thing and it didn't work. Quantum Charge is just too good at goats, and so there you go. They had to bring out the goats, and once they did that, you saw a whole different team.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Realizing that maybe we can't dictate how these engagements will go on our terms, and sort of playing the counter and the swaps and the reactions is really paying off for them, at least in Junkertown. We'll see how it works out for them in Volskaya.
What do you think the chances are of us getting a symmetric teleporter workaround?
I'd like to say really high. I like watching non-meta characters or heroes get some playtime. I think before we started up, I think I was watching forget which match. One of the other Owlet matches, they were doing a Symmetra Bastion on point A, Volskaya D. So there is precedent in Owlet for this to happen.
I'd love to see it. I think it's a lot of fun to watch when you get those creative strategies in there.
Right. And it's always interesting to see how teams, who maybe necessarily haven't prepared for it, how they go into it and how they count.
Volskaya Industries, by the way, will be our next map. So we're going into that 2CP. And what's your opinion on the 2CP? A lot of people are really split on 2CP.
I mean, I've had my ups and downs. I think as a game mode, I don't mind it. I think it depends on the maps. I really like Anubis, and Volskaya's all right. I like Anubis and Hanamura. I don't so much like Volskaya and Horizon.
You know what? I'm with you on the Horizon. I have never been able to like that map.
Right. I think with the rework, it's a little better, but it's
still too hard to defend point A.
Yeah.
And it's still too hard to get point B.
Maybe I'm thinking too far down, but maybe as more heroes get introduced, maybe we'll see a hero that really excels on Horizon and kind of makes that map a little more.
I'd love to see it. I want a 100 hero roster by next year.
Yeah.
Give us a hero.
It's a
week.
lofty demand.
Twice on Sundays.
Let's do a create a hero.
Oh man, just DC Universe Online.
Yeah.
Get out of here. We do have a couple of swaps, by the way. The new players being Wowza's coming back in on the, I believe, going to be on the Diva. And then we have Bamboo Cactus, who I believe
For Otter Oxide, yeah.
Yeah, for Otter Oxide, who I believe is a tank.
Support, actually, going by what they submitted.
Right.
It's Bamboo seems to like to play Moira. So we'll get our first taste of a new support line in this series.
Yeah, now we've gone from Zenyatta Goats to Moira Goats. Making the big swaps, big switches.
In certain situations, I think Moira can be super oppressive, but then it also feels like in other situations she's limited and sort of handicapped and not able to do what she needs.
I will say her ability to escape is one of the most annoying in the game.
Yeah, if used right, it can be so frustrating. And the lifesteal makes it really hard to 1v1 her for some heroes.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of rage moments 1v1 with Moira. And a bit of a conservative defense here from Quantum Charge. They're not going to be holding straight at the choke, they're going to be holding back the fort cliff.
They seem to go double snipers, so I think this is probably the defense they want. Gives them more time to react and see what's happening.
Yep, not only that, but the way that they were positioned with Scoopy up on the opposite high ground. The entire team of Otter Oxide turned to face Quantum Charge, and when that happened, Scoopy got a headshot.
Saw that pick, yeah.
Point.
See, good pressure on the snipers from Famsu.
Yep, trying to make sure that both Tiskahar on the Ana and Scoopy can't do too much. Now you're starting to see the downside of that. Let's let him in to get the pick kind of composition, because Bamboo Cactus hasn't left the point and nobody's contesting.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad strategy. I think it relies on getting the openings. You know, seeing if Otter Oxide would give them an opening, and they just didn't get the openings they needed to get them. It was a gamble.
Yeah, they got the initial pick. And that's kind of a perfect example of what that composition, what that kind of game plan can do.
So almost 7 minutes on the clock here for Otter Oxide, so they'll definitely have sort of their choice of engagement and how they want to.
It's a good choice of engagement. He's going to be getting straight onto the point, using that brawl of the ghost. Shatter, however, from Bola Bull is going to go straight into the shield of Nano Rocket. Same thing's going to happen to him anyway. Rally coming out from Bird, Bamboo finishing up on that Coalescence, but not going to find too much out of it. Nano Rocket getting charged onto Disappoint.
We see very aggressive Moira here.
Yeah, but Bamboo Cactus being very conscientious of where they are in the fight, making sure that they're still on the point even if the fight isn't.
So looking at ult economies, it looks pretty even. Both teams are looking to have 4 ultimates going into this next team fight. So it's really anyone's match here. I think it's going to come down to kind of who has the better.
Looks like we're going to have a outside approach here from Otter Oxide. They're going into the small lane on the right. Full of Bulls has another shatter up, and of course so does Nano Rocket. Both Reinhardts in this game doing a beautiful job of keeping that up, but there it goes. The Graviton pops out to try and keep the team away, and it's going to do a pretty good job. Self-destruct is going to get shielded off, but Tiskahar is going to get taken out anyway. So they're going to have a bit of an opening here onto the point. Bowl of Bulls still has that shatter. He's going to lay it down. He does find Wowza off point in that Diva. Not too much for keeping him out of commission. Self-destruct comes out from Wowza and will find Kyle in that fight. Scoopy, however, on the Brigade, back onto the point with the help of the Lucio, going to be able to keep himself and many others alive. Beautiful stun onto Bowl of Bulls, but not enough to keep him down or take him out of the fight.
And you know, this is, I think more of the same from Junkertown. We're seeing a lot of ultimates used in each team fight. It's crazy the charges that they're.
That it is. And speaking of charges, Kyle and Iced Tea Drink are both crazy high charge on their Zaryas and have been almost the entire fight.
Yeah, that's something. That's the point I was going to bring up in Junkertown. It seemed like the Zaryas were both over 75 the whole map. Maybe some more bubble discipline on both sides could kind of tip the scales for one.
You gotta make sure you're not feeding those Zaryas.
Nothing's worse than fighting a high charge Zarya. I mean, this is speaking as the Diva main.
Yeah, can't defense matrix that. There we go, the rally to enter the fight. Scoopy trying to make sure that everything is okay. Self-destruct thrown into the back, Graviton thrown into the front. Will find one. Nano Rocket, however, going to turn around and find himself a couple. I think that's going to be it for Otter Oxide's push.
And you know, that was a, I don't want to say big investment, but that was a 3 ult investment, and they pulled it off exactly how they wanted to. Or exactly how they should have wanted to.
This is, this is not necessarily an untraditional turn of events for this kind of 2CP map. Pretty frequent that you lose the first point and then spend 6 or 7 minutes
yeah,
defending
exactly.
the second.
I think that's where a lot of the hate for 2CP comes from. I think if you're Otter Oxide here with your 4 ultimates, you do have the advantage. I think you want to at least get a tick on this push.
There goes a big shatter from Nano Rocket down for Bowl of Bulls. However, going to return the favor. Sound barrier, yeah, from Disappoint, keeping the team alive. That beautiful self-destruction from Famsu will take Nano Rocket out of the fight. You lose your main tank. You lose a lot here in that GOAT's composition. Scoopy trying to stay alive in the middle of the point on that Forget, but it's not going to happen. Evandale will fall. Fansu going to take him out, freezing. Wowza trying to fly away, not going to find anywhere to land. Has to go and grab herself a health pack. Graviton onto the point. Real late in the fight, but Icy Drink's not going to stay alive to see the outcome of that. Nanorock does get the charge on a bird to open things up just a little bit. They're not able to find any real control. Nanorocket laying down a pretty big shatter at the back of the point to keep things going for Quantum Charge. Otter Oxide still trying to grab a foothold, but nothing's going to happen with Wowza blowing up the team.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Otter Oxide. I think going into that, like I mentioned, you had 4 ultimates, and I think that they were really on pace to at least get that 1 tick, but they couldn't escape with that. So that's really unfortunate. Really strong hold from Quantum. Looked like they were on pace to at least give up 1, maybe 2 ticks.
And you're real happy about that defense if you're Quantum Charge. Otter Oxide put a lot into it. Alright. They didn't come out empty-handed though. They do have a sound barrier coming up. They have a shatter that just laid down the entire team. Charge may walk back so they can't run away. There's a self-destruction Fansu way up into the sky. Gonna grab 2. The Graviton trying to help grab the rest of the team to clean them up off the point. Scoopy doing everything possible, but frozen and stunned. Nowhere to go. And finally we're seeing Otter Oxide breathe a little bit of oxygen here on the point. They get a little bit of space, they get a little bit of respawns.
Yeah, and this is really what you want. At least hopefully for them, they can get 2 ticks because they did have 7 minutes coming into. You gotta hand it to Quantum Charge. They really know how to stall a point and kind of recover.
Yeah, this defensive stagger has been absolutely impressive, beautiful, if you can even say that. Evandale, however, getting laid down with Nano Rocket by Bola Bull's shatter. Discohar getting walled off of the point. They're at 61.7% and building. Icy Drink getting frozen and then focused. Fancy with the headshots right there, and you're going to see Otter Oxide grab point 2 here on Volskaya. Nope, Wowza getting in there. Oop, out of the mech. Out of the fight. There's that self-destruct that took Scoopy out on the way too, but once again we see that pesky hamster getting back to the point, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Otter Oxide needed to, because it really does seem like Quantum Charge knows how to stall a point, knows how to come back together as a team and recover and kind of push you back off the point and force a reset. Bringing it down from almost 7 minutes to 21 seconds is a feat. So props to both teams again for Otter Oxide for capping the whole point where we thought they'd be lucky to get a tick going into that last fight, and Quantum Charge for whittling that time down to 21 seconds.
We'll see if they're able to put in an as impressive attack here. Do you think we're going to see a Moira Goats or a Zen Goats come out from Quantum Charge? Or maybe something different?
If I had to guess, we'll probably see the Zen again. I think there are some pretty big transcendences, at least that last one on point B, that kind of bought them another 15-20 seconds. Which could be the difference between a win and a loss on the map.
And Evandale's been pretty consistent with that Zenyatta as well.
Yeah, he has, and especially since you're not going up against an Ana, you don't have to worry about your Transcendence healing possibly being countered. I think it's, if anything, it's a stronger pick now that they're not going up against it.
The circle of life, the circle of goats. Moira beating the Ana. Zenyatta beating the Moira. Ana beating
exactly.
the Zenyatta.
So we're seeing more traditional comp from Quantum Charge to begin this. I know we saw double snipers. They know what they have to do here. Nothing fancy.
Yeah, they're getting up close and personal as quickly as possible, trying to push through this choke without Maywall being a little bit of a nuisance, not much of a hassle, I should say. But Kyle getting a very high charge very early in the fight. Discar and IC Drink, however, are going to be the ones to open the gates as they take Famsu out of mech and out of the game. Bird getting charged by Nano Rocket. He was able to land that charge on her, and that's really going to open point A up. Without that May, you don't have a lot of sustain. Kyle just trying to survive for as long as possible, really.
And I think Otter Oxide is living and dying by the May. a Mei's utility is huge if you can pull it off, but once the Mei goes down, you're between a rock and a hard place. So you don't really have the damage to overcome, the goats.
And Burt at 54% to that Blizzard, so pretty close to being able to deny almost the entire point, but we're going to have to see if they live that long. Graviton comes out, Nano Rocket has the shatter, goes ahead and lays it down. It's going to go ahead and grab a couple. There goes the self-destruct coming out from Wowza, but it's way too off the point. It's not going to find any kills. Icy Drink, however, that's a different story, taking Bowl of Bowls out of the fight. It disappoint Anna on the high ground, trying to heal up the team, but getting knocked off by Wowza, so not able to heal anybody right now as Scoopy flails around. Bamboo Cactus and Kyle both being taken out of the fight here. And it looks like Quantum Charge is going to be able to get a pretty sophisticated push here. Very well coordinated.
That's a big shatter there. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's a big shatter, but it was an even bigger left click coming out from Evandel.
That was a really impressive push by Quantum Charge. They were able to do, that snowball potential we were talking about at the beginning of the map. They were able to go right from A to B, which is the bane of a lot of people's existence when playing 2CP.
Yeah, and sadly we didn't get to see that Blizzard. That could have been a huge game changer.
Yeah, and I think, if you're Otter Oxide here, I don't think you can run the Mei with a minute. I think you're going to need something quick and powerful just to make use of the time that you do.
Operational.
See what they decide to do. Looks like Bird is going to be going onto the
Yeah.
brig.
I would have
She
been surprised.
realizes the same thing as you.
Yeah, it's too risky when you only have a minute. If you have the 4 minutes to play with, it's something else. But it's an unnecessary risk. So we'll see goats versus goats again.
And based on the preachings of Jane, Zenyatta Goats should come out on top. But we'll see if Otter Oxide has anything up their sleeve for this push. Go ahead and push from the right here. Wow's getting a little bit of damage in at the very beginning, but they are wasting no time in getting through that chokehold and healing left. A couple of members over to the point there. Lucio is that. Kyle getting a little bit out ahead of the rest of the team. Now Bowl finally initiating in for this attack. Charges in. This is the charge on the Scoopy.
That was a risky charge.
It was, but Bird was able to kind of reap the fruits of that miss. Because he did do a little bit of damage, and he was able to clean up the rest of it. Icy Drink killing on the Bird, and there's Evandel killing to a disappointment. You've lost 2 healers in your Goat's composition. It's a pretty tough hole to dig yourself out of. The Bowl of Bowls and Kyle are determined to grab some shovels as they grab themselves a couple of kills. Bamboo Cactus hopping on the piggyback of that ride, and he takes Evandel out as well. Icy Drink having a hard time fighting against Kyle. With a minute to go, or with a minute in their pocket from the beginning, they take point A.
And that was a really good turn by Otter. Watching the 2 supports go down early, I thought that was it, and we'd be seeing a fight for point A on their defense. But really good job for them to turn that fight around.
2CP, by the way, everybody, one of the few maps where you do get a little bit of extra time if you're in overtime after an objective. Gives you just enough time to get from point A to point B and start the next fight. There's the Graviton into the Coalescence. There's the self-destruct that kills Tiskahar. Bowl of Bowls gets the shatter. Transcendence comes out from Evandel that keeps Nano Rocket alive even though he got charged. There's the counter Graviton that looks to end the fight. Sound Barrier comes out from a disappointment to keep everybody alive. Scoopy getting taken out before he can put that rally in, and they might be able to hook themselves a full take here.
It seems like Otter Oxide really works well under pressure. They don't seem to like they don't seem to like having large time banks.
Who needs that excess time?
Exactly. They want to make this interesting.
Now all they have to do is really put the brakes onto Quantum Charge.
I think, at nearly 7 minutes, I feel like it's going to be tough to hold point A. So I personally would be telling my team that we need, or at least in a situation like this, that you have to milk it for as long as you can and bring as little time as possible into point.
And, you know, other side of the coin, though, you spend too much time trying to pull time off of point A, you get snowballed to point B.
True.
It really is a thin line that you have to walk. See if they're able to discern which side of the fence they should drop in on.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Otter Oxide with an interesting defensive composition. They are straying from, excuse me, straying from the goats and going for a little bit of long range damage. Famzu onto the Hanzo, and Bird, she will be taking on that that bird, Fariha Amari.
It's an appropriate name.
It is.
I don't know if this will be. I mean, we haven't seen this comp from Otter Oxide, so I'm really curious how this does. It could. I feel like it's going to be one of those where it's brilliant or it's.
And one thing that really needs to be recognized from Otter Oxide is that Quantum Charge does has the ability to go back to spawn and swap things up. They have that amount of time. Bird getting out to a very early start, almost 70% built up on that barrage already.
And then that's what you want. That's really what I feel like. The Pharah is the linchpin to their defense here, because you're planning on them not really having that.
Speaking of the linchpin, there it goes, getting pulled. The barrage not. Bird kind of throwing it out there, but there just wasn't. The fight had already been lost on point A. They're trying to stall it out a little bit more, but they're not going to grab any stall. So we're going to see about 5 minutes 45 seconds for Quantum Charge to push.
Yeah, and you know that's a lot of time for point B, especially if they can get a few dry pushes in and really milk the ultimates from Otter Oxide. They're gonna have to be super disciplined with how they use their ultimate. I'm surprised they are staying on the Pharah Hanzo, to be honest. They have to be playing for the grab dragons.
Well, we'll see if they're able to get it in time. Bowl of Bowls was able to get a huge shatter there, and even though the Graviton did come out, Bowl of Bowls did a beautiful job blocking the shatter, which would have stopped Famzu's dragon there. It would have stopped him in the animation.
Right. Now they're only working with one ultimate. At least it's probably their most important defensive ultimate, so at least they have that going for them.
Yeah, and if you're Quantum Charge, you don't necessarily feel great about that last push. If you're Otter Oxide, you are feeling.
Yeah, you have the momentum, but I mean, at least with Quantum Charge, you can tell yourself they have their big combo out of the way. They know it's not about to happen.
Speaking of the big combos, there goes Tizkahar, just piggybacking off of the support ultimates. And Bird is looking for the opportunity to use that barrage, but oof, Evandel, that 21-meter lock-on range from Moira really coming in handy against that Pharah. And they finally seem to clear the point. As long as they can control respawns. There go the dragons coming home from spawn, the barrage on the point, and the two of those will grab a couple of kills, but Evandel and Wowza still on point, still able to help out, using that Graviton to stop the Hanzo from getting to the point.
So not the hold Otter Oxide was probably hoping for. They had their moments, but I think, you know, Quantum Charge running the goats, something they're super comfortable on, something they seem really practiced on, was just, you know, a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, now they don't get any time to attack themselves.
Right. So it's a real defensive match. So does Otter Oxide take a risk and play something that, you know, maybe Quantum Charge, you know, isn't necessarily expecting, like they did on their last defense, or are they going to play something more conventional, more safe, and just try to hope to outskill, out-communicate, out-teamwork Quantum Charge?
You know, I think they were kind of close to getting exactly what they needed to do. The Pharaoh worked. They just need to be able to enable that kind of damage a little bit. And I think the swap to the Junkrat's going to be a good decision. You know, there's not really much need for a hit scan or a long distance damage when you have Pharaoh out there.
You still have plenty of combos with the grab. I think that they've got a lot of shield break and a lot of sort of raw damage between the Pharaoh and the Junkrat that, you know, if you play it well, you can really hold this with spam damage.
So let's see if the spam can help
Combat operation.
Otter Oxide here. Right off of the bat, wasting no time there. Quantum Charge getting straight into the heat of battle. This Bowl of Bulls does get a great pick onto Tiskahar. Icy Dreams looking to return the favor, take Lucio out, but one team has the mercy, the other one does not. Bamboo able to bring himself back into the fight, and Wowza now the lone diva on point. That's a good minute wasted.
Yeah, and that's what you want as Otter Oxide. You know, that's why you have the mercy out for the Pharah, but having the res and the res used at the right time can be a fight changer. And you know, I'm sure that's what they're hoping for with the res, since they really only have a tick to play with. Every player, every person on their team is super important to.
See how this goat's composition is ready to go as they set back up, speed boosting themselves in. Quantum Charge, about 43% up to go, but we're going to see that tire come out from Famzu. It takes Tiskahar out of the fight, so once again, we're going to see Quantum Charge lose their Lucio first thing in the fight. Used a couple of ults there. They will have that Valkyrie and that sound barrier along with the barrage for the next fight.
Yeah, and Disappoint has been using his sound barriers for. Oh, what a stagger!
Oh, man. Oh, wow. It's going to get even worse. Wowza got desuited again. So now Wowza going to have to wait to get back into mech.
Yeah, she got away, but that was a really nice stagger there. And if you're Quantum Charged, you start thinking about maybe changing up the comp since you're closing in on 2.5 minutes.
I guess they don't want to lose their ult charge, but oh man, they're losing life. Raj, there goes the self-destruct from Wowza to try and tip the scales in a different way.
You gotta get that Lucio up.
It's not gonna do what you can do. Once again, Bamboo gonna res up that bird, gonna put that Pharah back in the skies. They still have a Graviton on the point if they need it. They also have that Valkyrie going right now. Very difficult to break through. 2 minutes going, Bort. I think your advice is the best that you can give. They're starting to make some swaps.
Yeah, you have to, especially, you know, when it's, I don't want to say only one tick, but it is only one tick. So, you know, make the swaps, use the time wisely, because you really only need to win one.
They are, however, going into a devastating combo, but the picks are there. Wowza getting that first pick onto Famsu, removing that from the fight, making Bamboo spin that res. So now they know that the next kill that they get is permanent. Scoopy and Wowza doing their job, picking off heads right there. Now it's a 3v4, make that a 2v4. Kaio trying to pull out that Graviton to just delay for as long as possible, but the inevitable seems to be coming. The Famsu going to be using that tire from spawn, but it's not even going to get here in time.
Yeah, so the swaps are what did it. I mean, once you realize what's holding, you know, your team back, Overwatch is one of those games that you know, promotes countering your counters, and that's what Quantum Charge.
Little bit of chess, mental chess.
Yeah. You know, I can't even say that was a bad point A hold from Otter Oxide, given the time bank of Quantum Charge. You know, I think they did exactly as well as they needed to. It was just too much time that that Quantum Charge had, and that's what really gave them the. You know, because if that time bank's only 4 minutes, only 3 minutes, maybe they don't make those swaps, or maybe they don't make the swaps fast enough, and they can't get, you know, in position to take out meaningful players on Otter Oxide.
Yeah, especially on those 2 CP maps where spawn advantage is so crucial.
So far, I think through 3 maps, these have been really strong. A strong performance from each team. I think each team could have won either map realistically. Maybe not so much on Lijiang, but at least the past 2 maps have been super close.
Yeah, it looks like maybe at Lijiang Otter Oxide, maybe they weren't warmed up. They just didn't have their feet underneath them. But over the last 2 maps, they've definitely seemed to been able to like get a running start. I mean, Junkertown was a 4-5. Volskaya was a 5-4. We're seeing these two teams just go at it.
Yeah, this is an absolute slobber knocker. I think that this division, these are the 2 of the teams that I wanted to see from the get-go go up against each other. So I'm glad that we're getting that show from both of them.
And while we're waiting to go on to the next map, all the other games around the Owlet have come to a close, ladies and gentlemen, for the day. So I'm just gonna give you a quick update on the scores that we've had throughout the day. We had Ghost Peppers and Infinite Meat. Infinite Meat winning that in a 4-0. Vote Meme today lost to Yes in a 4-0 as well. And then we had we have 2 more 4-0s of the day. Gucci Gang taking it over Expandable Academy. And the Megs versus Furious Unicorns. That was also a 4-0. And then we had Team Verdant. They were able to overcome Blackjack Gaming in a 3-1. And as we're 15-16, as they faced off against Burn, they fell into 1-3. Those are all the major scores from the day. And then our minor scores, we had TBA versus Licorice Whip, which was a 4-0. Flashpoint versus Blazing Pegasus. Flashpoint was able to win that in a 3-2. And we had Pinton Viserion versus Echo, which was a 3-1. And then Otter Oxide versus Quantum Charge, which you're currently watching.
Speaking strictly about the minors division, it seems like there's a lot of variety, I guess you can call it, between the teams. You do have some really strong teams, but it doesn't seem like anyone's become the odds-on, powerhouse or odds-on favorite to take the whole thing. So, I'm glad that we're seeing some back and forth and teams sort of feeling each other out and going up and down in the standings. It makes it really exciting.
It really does. And like from a casting point of view, you always want more action. And what more action can we ask for than multiple overtime pushes, a 4, maybe 6 shatter fight? Like these are games I haven't seen in a while. This is a what was the word you used? Slobber knocker?
Slobber knocker, yeah. I don't know. It seems like through each map, another player or a different player on each team steps up. I think back on Junkertown, the support line for Otter Oxide was really strong. And I think coming into Volskaya, we saw really strong tank line for Quantum Charge. So it just seems like, through each map, a different group of players is kind of rising to the occasion that's sort of putting their team over the top.
And speaking of over the top, I think that Bird's emergence on the Farah is
if they were able to sort of mitigate, because I think what happens is when they don't run goats against Quantum Charge, they just get bullied on the ground. If they're able to hold a little stronger, not necessarily win the tank fight, but hold a little bit stronger, that would give the Farah more time to do more work, because Bird has done a really tremendous job in the skies, but I think it just leaves them too weak on the ground.
Well, I hope that we see her don that Rocket Queen on Eichenwalde. Definitely a map that can lend to a fair composition.
Yeah, especially on point A. I don't play a lot of Farah, but on Eichenwalde, I do really enjoy playing her. I think the buildings and the tower and the clock tower in the middle provides a lot of interesting cover options to get some sneaky rockets.
The sneaky rockets are the best. Well, the ones where they don't even know you're there until
right, except when you're getting hit by them.
This is true. Then it's a jarring, unhappy experience.
Right. That's when you just alt tab out of the game.
Hey, I've done it once or twice. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yeah, an oppressive Farah is one of those things that's just, so hard to overcome if you don't have the coordination on your side or someone with really good. Because a Pharah that's able to sort of use the cover, especially, you know, speaking on Eichenwalde, the Pharah that's able to use the roofs and the tower to their advantage really limits how a hit scan player can take you out, just because, you know, they'll have limited opportunities, so they have to make them count.
Yeah, I've as somebody who back in my console days played a lot of McCree, a lot of Soldier, and Pharah was pretty prevalent. That was an issue that you would run into a lot here on Eichenwalde, because you would have to spend time getting around the tower or around the corner in order to get a sight line. And by the time you did that, you put yourself in danger to other damage, or, you know, you open something up for your team. A lot more than just rockets that the Pharah can use.
Exactly. The distraction that a Pharah provides can be absolutely.
But defensively, we're not going to see the Rocket Queen. Bird will be donning the Brigette in an Anna Goats composition.
This is an interesting composition on the side of Quantum Charge, though. I'm going to be really interested to see sort of how this plays out. See what a Genji can do against Goats here.
Yes, Quantum Charge throwing a bit of a curveball. They're not coming in with Ghost. They will be going with a more traditional 2-2-2. Wowza and Scoopy on the DPS, McCree, and whoops, there goes the Genji.
I think you're gonna have to play very carefully as a Genji into Brigitte, because that stun leaves you out to dry there, and then it can be difficult.
Yeah, Brig's gonna be able to do a pretty good job of containing that Genji, especially because you want the Genji to be in the back line. And that's where Brig is.
Exactly. It doesn't leave you a lot of room to make a play. So that's why I think we're gonna. Well, we saw the Hanzo, but now we're on the Diva here. Back to Goats for Quantum Charge.
Yeah, they didn't feel comfortable leaving their Goats. So
I think they might have expected a Pharah coming out with the McCree Genji. Once they saw it wasn't, they made the swap.
Well, assumptions can really ruin your day, just like a good shatter, and that's a fat shatter right there. A bowl of bolt, a nap right there. That's gonna be it. Quantum Charge, going back to Goats and showing, you know what? Let's just stick to what we're good at, because we're really good at this.
Yeah, and that's all it took was the switch back to Goats.
And now you see them get a little bit of oomph in their step, and you see that aggression come out.
Yeah, this is a good hold for Quantum Charged. If they're able to maintain it, they'll get pretty solid distance for free on the.
As long as they can keep Bullet Bulls busy at this corner, they are not going to be able to stop that payload. And then a lot of times you see the opposite of this happen on Eichenwalde. You see the defensive team hold at the choke before that door opens.
A lot of ultimates again here.
Oh, the Diva Bomb going just a little bit too far, so it doesn't drop, falls over the top. But that's going to be a big shatter, grabbing 4 members, and Nano's going to follow up with this charge onto Rudolph. A lot of ultimates have been used, but Kyle still has that Graviton available. Disappointment with the Nano boost, waiting for Bullet Bulls to get back into the front lines of the fight, switch off, and use that ultimate. Huge nade coming out. Now we're seeing IST in a little bit of a tricky situation. Does fall to Famzu, who also finds Wowza. So now, Otter Oxide. There you go. There's the beauty of the Anna Goats. You see one good nade. That's about all you need.
Yeah, and it was a big nade. I think it hit at least 3, maybe 4. I think Quantum Charge missed an opportunity because Bowl of Bowls was in their back line, and all they had to do was back up and focus him, and they would have been in a 5 or a 6.
Oh man, and they are laying out the damage now. They're shatter from Bowl of Bowls. It will find Tiskahar in the back line. That's really going to be null and void. They didn't find any other members, so Nano able to push right up through. He tries to lay down the shadow, but it got blocked by Bowl of Bowls, and they're going to respond with a sound barrier and an angry Reinhardt as they're looking to take Nano Rocket out of the fight. He's getting mighty low on health. Diva Bomb drops, doesn't find any kills. Everybody's able to find themselves a little bit of a corner to hang around on. Graviton from Ice-T Drink, along with that Wowza's self-destruct, taking Rudolph out of the fight. Scoopy with that beautiful, and much-needed rally there to keep her team alive as Bowl of Bowls tries to defend against the Earth Shatter from Nano Rocket as they push them back into this little cubby.
Wow, and that was a good push from Quantum Charge. I think that they work best when they're able to kind of stack their ultimates and kind of force Otter to use theirs reactively instead of in a a planned way.
Yeah, a team that's defending reactively will always be worse than team defending pro. Speaking of proactive, Bullet Bulls with a great charge to open things up on the Scoopy, but no one's paying attention to the payload. Effendel just riding it like it's an Uber. Here comes the Graviton from Iced Tea Drink. They make sure that everybody's in the same spot. Easy damage right there. D-Suit onto Fanzu, gonna take that Diva out of the equation. That high charge Zarya is still wreaking havoc on Otter Oxide. They have not been able to find a good defensive hold since they got broken.
No. And you know, what Quantum Charge is doing right now is they're not letting Otter Oxide really regroup and take an actual path to the engagement. They're bringing the engagement to the spawn, dictating the fight.
Yep, and this just in, there's actually a rivalry between these two teams. So we're not just seeing some amazing Overwatch. We're seeing some amazing Overwatch fueled by heated blood and long histories.
You know, and that's something you want, yeah, I think, in a tournament like Owlet. You know, it's something we, you know, as an admin team, kind of want to foster those storylines and foster rivalries and sort of let teams have histories. So that's always exciting, the fact that that does exist so early in the season.
You know what else is exciting? Amazing defense. And that's what we're seeing right now, because Bowl of Bowls and the rest of Otter Oxide have been staggering in and off of this payload for about 2 minutes now, keeping it barely moving throughout this fight, even though they're continuously losing members. I have seen nothing but Quantum Charge in the kill feed, but still, the payload sits.
And you know, at some point it might come back to bite them, but if they're able to get this going and you know, get a few key picks, it could be good for Otter Ox.
And Rudolph doing a beautiful job of staying on the high ground, hopping down, hitting the payload, hopping back up. Big Annonade comes in right there and see if they're going to be able to find anything. No follow-up damage, however. Rudolph doing his best to stay alive.
Amazing job right now.
There you go. It looks like Kaio on the May, trying to come in for a little bit of extra contest, but taking a 3.5 minute time bank, putting it down to 1:35.
And you know, that's not it. You know, from an attacking perspective, that's a good time. Having 1.5 minutes left on the clock, and I think also from the defensive perspective, that's not the worst time that you could leave them. I think Quantum looks a little bit stronger than Otter in that push, but I think Otter Oxide definitely made the best of it with that stall.
And now we're going to be able to see what Quantum Charge can do on the defense. And Otter Oxide, if they keep bringing out, I think a Disappoints Ana could be the game changer.
Yeah, a Disappoint has been sort of my pick for, I guess, you know, the strongest link in the chain for Otter Oxide. I think he's had huge nades. Some they've been able to capitalize on, some they haven't. But just the fact that he's consistently able to purple multiple enemies is something that has a really high value, especially in a Transcendence.
Looks like, however, we're going to be seeing a different Amari out on the field. Looks like Bird will be popping onto the Pharah, so a Disappoint is going to be playing the Mercy.
And I think the looks like we're off the Pharah now. But I think Quantum Charge is prepared for the Pharah. I think they've seen enough of Bird to know that this is the situation where they'll probably get a Pharah.
So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, they have an Ana, they have a McCree, and they have a Hanzo, all able to take out.
And the Discord without a Mercy, I think this Pharah is gonna have a hard time unless she plays super conservative.
Yeah, pretty much the only good thing about this pairing is that they're siblings. Let's see what they're able to do. Bird trying to keep with the team. Fancy almost falling as they go to this high ground.
It's a really nice Sonic arrow.
Wowza just climbing up on top, trying to find a couple of cheeky shots. He does find the headshot onto a Disappoint. And that's a pretty early defeat, because once you use that lose those main heals, it's pretty much killing both. Bird, however, not gonna leave this fight without at least a little bit of a consolation. So they will take Ana out. So now's a chance for Otter Oxide to get in before the regroup.
Yeah, and I think this is smart on their behalf, is to pull away, regroup, figure out what's going to counter this quantum charge comp, and they were able to do that. Now they're able to have sort of a threat.
Looks like they're going to try and use the Widowmaker. Get a little bit of pick potential here. Wowza, however, heard me say pick and decided to take out
Exactly.
Disappointing. Hits that nano boost on the bowl of bowls, but it's not gonna be the bowl of fruit that they were wishing for. But Kaio, however, gonna be working with Bird to get some pretty key kills. Bowl of bowls gets healed up, jumps back in, takes Tiskahar out on that Ana as the graviton from Iced Tea Drink comes out onto the field. She does get nanoed, or sorry, not nanoed, antied.
Yeah, and there we saw it again with Disappoint. He was able to get the anti and then bait the bubble out. His team was able to come in and take care.
And Bird, she's been working in some pretty big flicks here on this Widowmaker.
I think right now, Bowl of Bowls is doing a lot of work for Otter Oxide. He's getting really good dives onto the support line, and he's doing it largely uncontested. There are a few, he's being challenged, but by the time anything meaningful happens, his jumps off cooldown, he's able. He got that.
I gotta ask you, what do you switch around here to counter Otter Oxide and Fancy on this double sniper?
Well, I think
that'll work.
I'm a big fan of watching dive and playing dive over goats. I do think dive versus dive is an option. I think maybe once the changes on PTR hit live, we'd see a Reaper, especially against an oppressive Winston.
Bird doing a pretty good job of keeping herself alive, but didn't see Wowza coming around the corner with the Storm Arrow.
And I think right now the tanks for Otter Oxide are doing a really kind of nice job of contesting anyone on Quantum Charge that sort of is mispositioned. So oftentimes we'll see the Widow off on their own and contested, the Zenyatta's getting contested. They're using the mobility very well. And
they're also doing a great job of keeping Quantum Charge's tanks busy. Oh no,
right.
The big boom coming in. Tiskahar not able to get out of the way. Wowza, great little wall jump there. He's gonna get angry. He's gonna throw those dragons back out at the payload. It will not find any purchase though. Transcendence from Rudolph is gonna keep everybody alive. That's exactly what it's there for.
It's a good sleep there. And going back to kind of what the tanks have going on, it's sort of the predicament that dive presents is, when do you dive versus when do you peel? And Otter Oxide is making Quantum Charge's choice to peel sort of man. So it's not so much of a choice.
It's actually not a choice at all anymore. They've beaten and battered and dove them out of a dive composition.
I think that's the right call.
To go back.
I think
out there inside.
If you can't out dive, you gotta play the run.
Let's see what they're able to do on this Goats composition. It's not starting off great, having to pull that Transcendence out pretty early from Evandel, getting dove by Bowl of Bowls on that Nano, so he's pretty hard to take down on that big monkey. Kaio coming in right after on the Diva, trying to get the kill onto the Brig, looking for the kill on the Scrap. He does find Scoopy, sorry. We're seeing a super aggressive dive, and they're going to finish with a much larger time bank if Quantum Charge can't stop this.
I think, my one observation here, what's making this dive so effective, not taking any credit away from Otter Oxide tanks, is that the Quantum Charge supports need to play closer to their tanks. A lot of times you're seeing their Lucio sort of go in on his own, and then he gets punished by the Winston, or you're seeing their Zenyatta positioned a little too far away that by the time the Winston is on top of him, his team can't respond. So if you tighten up the positioning, I think the dive becomes more manageable. So do you think we see dive again? Do you think we come out with a defensive dive on the side of Otter Oxide?
I don't think we see a defensive dive from Otter Oxide. Oh, you know,
Oh, there it is. Dive with
I
Farah.
spoke too soon. So, I guess we are going to be seeing a defensive dive.
I think it's a little bit trickier than an attack dive.
Incoming in 30
Now, I'm a little bit worried about the healer situation. Bird's going to have to
Right.
I'm not trying to say that a disappointment can't do it. I've seen many Nana heal a Farah. But there really is a special place in my heart for that pharmacy.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I think
you miss one shot on that Farah.
right.
5, 4,
I think that, you know, playing without a mercy, you have to play a little bit more conservatively as a Pharaoh, so maybe a little bit more back around your team where you're easily healed instead of aggressive, you know, in there sort of right above.
Alright, well, they're going to go straight to the action. Not really any ability to hold the choke, and Kyle getting desuited very early on. Not great for the dive. Bird, however, able to tip the scales back in the direction of Otter Oxide. She's doing a great job here, being the only one in the kill feed. In fact, Kyle and Tanzu coming in at the very end to help things out. The Bird's already 50% to her ultimate. So is Bull.
Yeah, and we see the McCree swap, and I think that's absolutely what you have to do. No reason to even kind of tiptoe around it. You've got a minute left. You got to make the switch to do it.
So now, Quantum Charge being forced out of their comfort zone, out of goats. Rudolph with a great early pick onto Wowza, taking that Hanzo out, giving a little Bird in the sky, 63%, 66% to that barrage. Once we see that barrage, it's going to be very difficult to make any sort of push into the point.
Right, and you know, life could be hard for Scoopy on the McCree if Bowl of Bowls gets in his face, you know, is able to dive him and keep him off the Farah. I think that would allow Bird the space to sort of hit those rocks.
And also something that we haven't really touched on about why Winston is good against the compositions that we've been seeing is that that bubble disrupts the healing from Ana really well. Oh, Bird opening things up, 88% to that barrage. She is just creeping up at a disappointment.
Huge
Gonna go ahead
ante.
and put herself into that into the kill feed. And Otter Oxide just throwing out the barrage because not a single tick's gonna get taken here on Eichenwalde.
I think that's kind of the defense that Otter Oxide was hoping we'd see, you know, on Volskaya. Maybe sort of the performance they'd hope we'd see on their Lijiang. I think that's the way they just played this defense is the way you want to see the Pharaoh.
It is beautifully played around the tower, stayed in sight lines of her healers so that the issue I talked about never actually was able to come up.
Well, I think the other thing is, you know, you have two super mobile tanks in Diva and Winston. You have the Pharaoh up in the sky. So who do you prioritize as Quantum Charge? It's definitely not the Otter Oxide support line because that's just, you know, not in your face. It's not as oppressive. So I think that, you know, gives the healers the space to heal, and then they're not able to sort of get their head around or wrap their head around who they need to prioritize, whether it's the tanks or the Pharaoh, and it costs them their attack.
So what do you think? Do you think we're going to be seeing 5 maps today?
You know, I hope so. I like when it comes down to that 5th map. Hopefully it goes, you know, 1-1 and we go down to the 3rd map on the tiebreaker, because I love pressure situations and I like seeing what teams have to do when their backs are against the wall. I think that's when you really see how good a team.
defend objective
Alright, we'll see how quickly or how quickly the attack can happen or how long the defense can take. We will be seeing that Pharaoh from Bird once again.
So if they can coordinate a dive, they can end this, you know, right here. They do have some time to work with, so they get to be patient in their attack, which is what they're doing by not engaging.
There goes the dive from Bowl of Bulls, followed by Kyle. They're trying to take Scoopy out of the fight, but a flashbang on a Bird is going to take that Bird out of the sky. Now Otter Oxide fighting a man down, or a woman down, I should say. Bowl of Bulls as well. There's a monkey down as well. Now it's going to be quite difficult for them to push through. They're going to only lose about 45 seconds, but when you only have 2 minutes and 30, that's a lot of time.
I think this is where you want the mercy on attack. On defense, it's a little bit easier because you can play a little bit back. You don't have to push forward. I think Bird sort of misplayed by going for the health pack, behind enemy lines and got himself picked. But hopefully, for Otter Oxide, they're able to sort of regroup around that and realize that maybe that wasn't the best choice and sort of pick a different button. But good on Quantum Charge for being able to hold.
Oh, there it goes. They're going to go ahead and give the nano to Bolo Bolos. He gets slapped, and then he gets hit by Scoopy. Scoopy's going to try and get him in. Nope, that rally's going to keep Scoopy alive. Or sorry, Evandel alive. Bird and Kyle both grabbing themselves a couple of kills here at the very beginning, but Evandel taking both Fanzu and Rudolph out of the fight. Bolo Bolos not necessarily alone, but fighting with the Diva. That's about it. There's self-destruct, but the payload's going to keep everybody alive. The Tickle Cannon, however, doing its work as it takes Evandel out of the fight. There goes Ice Tea Drink. Reinhardt getting back, and he gets a nano boost from Tiskahar. Bolo Bolos has to back out of the fight. The regroup needs to be quick.
Yeah, I think that dragged on a little bit too long for Otter Oxide. Quantum Charge was really able to milk that point. And it hasn't been a full regroup for them, so it's their Otter Oxide's chance.
There it is, Bird opening the doors with that barrage, and this is where we're going to see Otter Oxide take the cake. Beautiful dragon into the room that they're coming from spawn.
Victory.
And Otter Oxide putting 2 and 2 on the board. We will see a 5th map.
And that's real exciting for me, because like I said, I think, both teams at this point have a really good feel for the other. So it'll be interesting to see, what adjustments they both make going into this hybrid. How do you deal with the dive? Because that's clearly what's working for Otter Oxide. So I wonder, do we see substitutes to kind of hopefully, bring in a new composition and bring in some new life and try to work around this? Because right now I think Otter Oxide has the momentum going into the top.
Well, yeah, Otter Oxide, they started off a little rocky. They got their feet underneath them at the very end there. And now it seems that they're starting to gain momentum.
Right, but I mean, the whole series has been back and forth. It's going into it, I don't even think I could make a confident prediction on who's going to take.
And our final map, I believe
It's Oasis.
Is it Oasis? Yeah. For a second, I thought it was Busan, but our final map is going to be Oasis. And it looks like we're having a couple of subs, and someone's going to go ahead and hop out and hop back in. Us casters are going to take a quick break to grab ourselves some water, and we will be right back with the action in just a little.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Alrighty, we're back, or at least me and Bort are. And man, we were talking off stream a little bit about how exhausting and how wonderful this is, but we have seen a ringer today, Bort.
Yeah, this honestly, this is sort of peak competition. This is exactly what you want to see. As nice as a stomp is from the player's perspective, from the audience perspective, it's always good to see a well-fought match, and that's what we were getting.
Well fought indeed. I mean, we're seeing 4-5s, 5-4s, 4-3s. I think we've seen overtime on every
Right.
map except for Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and for those watching that don't know, these two teams do have a bit of a rivalry going back to before season 2 of Owlet. So that just sort of adds another layer to what we're seeing here tonight with this sort of back and forth. So we know that they have some history, and we're getting a good game at it.
Yeah, I believe they competed against each other in the GG Overwatch tournament. So they've even been able to transcend organizations to compete against each other.
Right. And, going into this last tiebreaker map, I know we were talking about it a little bit before, we took our break. We're seeing sort of a rebirth from Otter Oxide, switching from goats to dive, and they seem to really be in control with dive. So I'm curious to see if we see dive again from Otter Oxide, and if so, how does Quantum Charge sort of respond? Because now they've had some time to talk about it and think about what they need to do. Or does Otter Oxide go back to goats here, since they've been a little struggly on control maps?
If there's any control map that I would say play goat or play dive on, it would be Oasis, because Oasis has a lot of verticality.
Right.
For you to utilize on that diva, on that win. So I think that if there's any place where they can really play to their strengths, this is where it's going to be. Right. I wouldn't be surprised to see the goats come out at some point. Or sorry, the dive come out at some point. I'm so used to saying goats.
Yeah, right. It's just ingrained. So I think, we're getting Gardens first, which is one of those maps you were just mentioning that has that verticality. So I personally would not be surprised to see Otter Oxide come out in goats. The question is, what does Quantum Charge do here to mitigate, that power that Otter Oxide has with
Sorry, I cut out there at the end.
Oh, no worries. So it looks like we are getting dive from Otter Oxide again. I guess the Otter dive without the Mercy. And it looks like we're getting goats on the side of Quantum Charge. So both teams are sort of going back to their comfort zone with what's been working. And hopefully, we get a really, really good match.
Yep, we'll see if they... And of course, right now, no counter to the dive on the opposing side.
Right. They're going to really have to rely on that Brigitte to stop the Winston dives. Or the Diva, something that can kind of mitigate the damage that Winston does when he leaves.
Interesting choices here, by the way. We're seeing Quantum Charge hide out in this bottom area, kind of figure out what all's going on. I think they're waiting for the control point to unlock, and then they're gonna just get in there for the brawl. They don't want to give them any opportunity to build a full charge.
Yeah. I think that I've never seen something like that, but I can understand the logic behind it. I'll be interested to see how.
Especially against the Pharah, it's a really good kind of strategy, because you don't allow the Pharah to get any of that trash damage.
Seems to be working for them. I also like the swap off of the Zenyatta from previous maps. I think that makes it a little bit trickier for dive to get the jump on the supports.
Ooh, speaking of the Zenyatta, he's the one that's going to be evening things out. Rudolph going and getting himself a couple of good kills, staying alive throughout the end of this fight. Wowza now getting desuited. There's Brig.
And Otter Oxide's going to have all 6 ults to currently 0 on Quantum Charge. That's a huge advantage, especially after sort of the first.
And also, So, what better way to have a rival than dive versus go?
Right, two
Old
opposites.
meta versus new meta.
Exactly.
Here we go, but oh man, the only bad thing about dive is that you're not on the point very often.
Especially on this one.
Yeah, and they're going to see Quantum Charge flip the point over very quickly. Bird, however, trying to come in with a late barrage, high noon, from Famsu at the opposite end of the point, just in case anybody escaped from the clutches of the Rocket Queen, but nobody is going to in this fight, because the bird is the word.
And that was a good ult investment, I think, from Otter Oxide. They've used 3 of their 6. And we're still looking at 0 ults on the side of Quantum Charge, but noting that they did switch themselves to.
Yeah, maybe I was gonna say it's a little too late, but it isn't been because it hasn't been. Because neither team has gotten above 4%. It's been back and forth so much.
I think, looking at how this fight's progressing, I think Otter Oxide made a mistake positioning their Zen there for the Winston to just dive on top. I think that really opened the door here for Quantum Charge to at least seemingly get.
Oh, let's see what they're able to do. Bowl of Fruit Bowl of Bowl able to do a pretty good job of at least stalling this out, but is able to de-suit the D.Va and allow for Famsu to get back onto the point, but he's got to run away from Scoopy on that Tracer.
And what we're seeing Otter Oxide do here is they're investing to get as many percentage points as possible on this point before it probably does.
Yeah, worst case scenario, they lose the point at 90% and they have to take it back for just a little while. Best case scenario, they get a couple of key picks and get the point back.
Exactly. And getting up to 97 is good because you only really have to win the 1 fight to take the point back, and the seemingly 2, maybe 3 fights.
The next question we have to answer is which dive is going to be better? Is it going to be the Pharah dive or will it be the Genji dive?
Well, I think that's, we saw the swap off the Zenyatta to sort of mitigate against the Tracer Genji harassment. So, maybe that gives Otter the advantage.
Ooh, questionable positioning by Scoopy, trying to get around the back end for a big play. It ends up getting caught out. The big play, however, is going to be coming out from Wowza as long as that Blade can find a couple of culprits to take down. It's only going to find Fancy. Bird, however, will find Wowza, and the Nano Blue's getting put onto Bowl of Bowls, looks to open things up. Bird, however, tearing through the back line of Quantum Charge, taking Tiskahar out of the fight. Onto the high ground they go to get Phantom Tissue out and off the map. Now it's just going to be Nano Rocket on the point on that Winston to defend himself at 93% charge on the point themselves. Right when Scoopy gets back, he gets taken out by Kaio, and now it's just Devendel alone. Zenyatta in Transcendence on the point, trying to get the rest of the team back there. Tiskahar just off point on that Ana, trying to keep that little Omnic robot alive, but it's not going to be enough. D.Va will be able to get back to the point to start that overtime. She'll get the nano boost, but they'll flip the point over. So now it's a 99 for 99 as Bird gets a beautiful barrage onto Tiskahar. Self-destruct comes out, doesn't get the D-suit, but puts Phantom Tissue into the red as he gets D-suit onto the top there. The high noon from Famsu gets stopped by Scoopy on that Tracer. Kyle gonna try and even the field, getting that revenge kill onto Scoopy and cleaning up the rest. That overtime ticker ticking down. Beautiful boot from Rudolph there at the end. And Otter Oxide making an argument to be said that they're gonna walk away with the win tonight.
Yeah, very, very strong showing these last few maps from Otter Oxide. I think that a lot of the credit, the team's been great. It seems like they've really been target focusing, but I've been really impressed with Bowl of Bowls. He's creating so much space. He's getting in the face of that support line. That's what's allowing Bird to get all the picks that he needs, because he just can't be focused because there's a giant monkey on your supports. So a lot of credit to him, because now it seems like Quantum Charge is reacting to Otter Oxide style of play, whereas on Lijiang we saw the opposite.
And now we're going to a map where Winston, this might as well be Winston's playground.
Yep.
So much high ground, and even a high ground like in the middle of the point, and his Tesla cannon does reach the ground from there.
Yeah, and I think if you're Quantum Charge, you were secretly hoping for University, something a little bit harder to dive on, because now you have to deal with the Pharah and Winston again here.
Yep, and if you're Otter Oxide, this is where you want to put the final nail in the coffin. You don't want to take it to the university.
Exactly. You need to get the W here.
Here we go. Here's the initiation, the dive onto the high ground. Fansu and Disappointment, however, are just clear and clean to do whatever they please on the offensive side. Scoopy getting a direct rocket, having to use that recall. And now Bird finally getting into the fight. Had to go back for some healing pretty early on. Be able to come back and take Scoopy out of the fight. Fansu Tissue on that high ground, contesting Bird with that Discord, but not able to do much of anything else. So we will see the first tick go over to Otter Oxide as they desuit Fansu Tissue.
Yeah, and going back to kind of what I was saying, we saw a Disappointment and Famsu up on the high ground uncontested because of what their Winston was able to do. And if they're not going to be able to answer this Winston, Otter Oxide supports and damage are just going to be able to have sort of a buffet of options to for positions and target.
So what do you do here? Bola Bowls is hassling you on the ground. Bird is destroying you from the air. Famsu is pinpointing you from afar. If you're Quantum Charge, you've been super aggressive up until now. What do you do here?
Yeah, you have to bring the aggression back. As difficult as I know it can be, you have to notice where your targets are and you have to take them. So I would be looking to take out a Disappointment.
But Bird, however, Bird knows exactly where the aggression is. She is going to go ahead and grab 3 kills right there, including that last kill on Tizgahar. Scoopy on the Tracer trying to keep things alive and take the point over, but it's a bit of an uphill battle. The Pulse Bomb comes out, doesn't find any purchase or proper. Scoopy now just kind of fighting for her life in the back line.
Yeah, and it's seeming really one-sided. We've gone through the whole progression tonight between dominance. We started with Quantum Charge, super dominant, and slowly, transformed into Otter Oxide.
Yep, and it's map 5. Fatigue begins to play a factor here.
That's a big ante there.
Princeton is going to come in to save the day. However, Famsu, a lot of burst damage in that Deadeye. That's not Famsu, that's Wowza. And Wowza gets almost brought down to nothing. Famsu, however, going to bring it out in the back, trying to get himself a little cheeky Deadeye, but it's not going to work too well. Bird grabbing a couple of kills, making sure that she keeps Otter Oxide in the blue here. These suit onto that Diva means there's no contest for the Bird in the sky. He almost has another barrage. Bird looking to be the MVP for this map. There it is, the overtime ticker ticking down at 99%. Otter Oxide will be taking the day in a beautiful, long, strenuous, and impressive 5-game series.
Yeah, that was... I don't think we could have asked for much more.
Not at all.
It was super back and forth. You can't say that, even though Otter Oxide displayed a lot of dominance towards the end, it's not a knock against Quantum Charge. They played a fantastic.
That was a showing of top-notch Overwatch around the table.
If you had to pick your MVP, who is it?
I'm a real big fan of Ice-T. I think Ice-T has... Well, Ice-T played a lot of Zarya today, and last time I saw him, he was overplayed a bunch of Reinhardt. So I like the fact there's a lot of versatility, and not only is there versatility, but solid versatility. Other than that, I think I really do have to give it up to a Disappointment. The nades were stellar to watch, and good decisions on the Nano, positioning on the Ana.
And anytime you can give props to a support, it's a job well done. That's a very unappreciated role sometimes.
That it can be.
But wow, fantastic match. I'm happy for Otter Oxide that they're finally able to get their first played out win. I know they got the win on because of a forfeit, so this has to feel good for them. And I think that this will probably shake up the standings in the minors.
Yeah, just a bit, taking down one of the undefeated.
Yeah, so hopefully, as the season goes on, I know these teams will meet again. Every team does play twice in the minors division. So really looking forward to that, just to see sort of, because of the rivalry, because of this match, I'm sure that's going to be a great match.
And you know what? My challenge to these teams next time you guys, face each other, I want to see some tweets, some Discord pings, a little bit of rivalry
Yeah,
stuff.
let's get the hype going.
Anyway, guys, before we leave you with a dark screen, we just want to let you know what's happening tomorrow. We do have a couple of feature matches that will be on the main channel here, and that's going to be at 8 p.m. We will have Burn versus Power Naps. It's going to be one of the majors matches on the day, and then at 10 p.m. we'll have Older Watch versus Ghost Peppers. Other than that, we have our Infinite Meat versus Gucci Gank in the majors map, and then majors bracket, and then we do have our minors game, which will be Licorice Whip versus Greyhound Solar. So make sure you guys have followed the channel here and you tune in tomorrow for those great matches. But until then, I'm Shadow24. Bort's been there on the color, and then behind the scenes is SilentMarine. So make sure you give a high five in the Discord and a shout out to those guys because they've been wonderful. Thank you so much for casting with me, Bort.
It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
And you guys have a wonderful